Nightreign has a problem, and I'm addicted to it. But let me explain. So I've only played Nightreign for a few hours. I haven't beaten the first Night Lord yet, but I did unlock the Duchess class, which is great. But it really seems like people weren't understanding what they were getting into when they bought this game. Like when the description came out for what Nightreign was gonna be, which is gonna be like a multiplayer co-op situation where you and teammates go in and fight bosses, and that's pretty much it, right? I think people might have been expecting like an Elden Ring 2, but they specifically said that that wasn't gonna happen when they announced this game. So this game takes the Elden Ring experience and turns it into basically like a fun little mode for you to play with your friends. It's like a fun mod, and I'm completely addicted to it. It's fantastic. It takes everything I personally loved about Elden Ring and makes it into a multiplayer situation where you can just have fun for like 30 to 45 minutes on a run and then get cool rewards and then just do it all over again. And that's the fun thing about a roguelike like this. But here's my problem, is that a lot of people are saying this, and it's really crazy how the duos mode and crossplay, I know a lot of people have been talking about those, but like the way they didn't even think about that when they were developing it and then released it in this state where you're playing a game that's so team oriented and there's no way to chat with them other than pinging stuff on a map. There's no voice chat, but there's also no text chat. Like you can't even type things. Of course, with how fast the nights go, there'd be no time to text anything in a text chat. But with it still being released in the situation that it's in, I think solo mode is super fun. I've personally been trying to main Iron Eye and the Duchess, and they're fantastic classes. I mean, I think every class is fantastic in its own way if you're really good at them. And for what this is and what it set out to do and what it set out to be, I think it succeeded. I mean, there are obviously some huge hurdles for it to, you know, update and come up with. Like, for example, crossplay. I don't understand. Oh my gosh. For friends not being able to play with each other across different consoles. I mean, in today's world of multiplayer games, this should have been so obvious for them to implement this. And duos mode. I mean, they are working on duos mode though. They've heard everybody complain about that, so they made a tweet and they were like, we will continue to provide post-launch support, including DLC, scheduled for release this year. That's good. So there's gonna be more content, which I know a lot of people were, you know, very skeptical about. There's not a whole lot of content in there other than, you know, the different night bosses, but once you beat them all, that's kind of it. You just gotta beat them over and over and over again. And they're adding a 2-player mode, which is going to be fantastic for players who just want to play with one of their buddies, and that's it. I think that's going to be amazing. But the fact that they didn't think about that while they were in development, they only decided to then put it in when people started bombarding them with requests for that. I don't know. Especially the crossplay thing. I mean, FromSoftware has always been kind of allergic to crossplay for some reason. I don't know why. Because most people who play these Souls games on PC anyway, or at least from my experience with friends and, you know, streamers even, like they use the controller. So I feel like there's no, I mean, other than mods. I feel like people who have mods might be a different thing. But I mean, in a generation where there's so many multiplayer games that have this, it's just so interesting to me that they didn't, that this was just like an oversight. Like in a world with so many multiplayer games, they didn't see what they should put in their multiplayer game. I don't know. But it's good that they know this. They know a whole bunch of this stuff and they're trying to fix it. I don't think they've talked about the crossplay bit, but I love like the different style of gameplay that you get in this versus Elden Ring and Dark Souls. And what I mean is that in Elden Ring and Dark Souls, it's very slow, it's very linear, and like you can look around, you know, you can fight bosses as many times as you want, you can go through an area as slow or as fast as you want, it's completely at your pace. But this one, I think even the director was like, we wanted to take that expectation of our regular games, of it being, you know, at your own pace, very not leisurely, but you can look around, explore in Dark Souls and Elden Ring and all those games, and they just wanted to try something new, and I applaud that so much, because that's how they made Dark Souls in the first place, was that they were just making just a different type of game than they were usually making, and it worked. So they just wanted to do that again, because they wanted to try to keep improving, and it sounds like Dustbloods, the game that they're making for Nintendo Switch 2, is also going to be like this in a way, and it's looking like Elden Ring Nightreign is sort of a test trial or like a guinea pig for Duskbloods and how they can improve the Dustblood experience by how people are reacting to Nightreign, which is very much an interesting idea, and it's very good too, because then we know that, you know, if we don't like Nightreign, then we don't need to spend so much money on a Switch 2 for Dustbloods and things like that. But with all of that aside, I love this. I think this game is really good for what it does. It's a quick, fast-paced experience with your friends to just basically rush bosses, get randomized good loot, and just have fun. But it's still super stressful though, because of how fast it is. I do understand that they wanted to make it super fast, like the whole experience, but I feel like if they made like a minute or 2 minutes to each day, I'd be happy. because there was a couple points where I was just trying to find, like, rapidly just find chests, or even just looking for a boss in a certain area or in a certain piece of ruins, or like a little castle or something, trying to find the boss or little chests to loot, and then the storm would be right behind me, and I just had to leave. I couldn't look around. I had to leave. And it's like, I understand that it needs to be super fast, and that's the draw. That's the point, and I love it. But just one more minute. Just it's at a certain point, you're like, this is really fast. But I guess that's kind of the point, because then you can just start over again and then go to a different side of the map, which is already pretty small. But at the end of an entire run, I feel like I've only explored like a quarter or maybe a half of the map. And then on your next run, you can just do the other half. So I think there's pros and cons to different ways of thinking. But either way, I think Nightreign, it's a good game. There's a bunch of things that they can and should improve, but I'm addicted, and honestly can't wait to try it again. But what do you guys think about Nightreign? I just wanted to talk about what FromSoftware has said and what they're going to try and improve. I'm just very glad that they've listened to the community and they're adding a 2-player mode. That's a good thing, because that means that they're at least looking at the community. They're at least listening to people's instructions and praises and critiques, which is great, because they improved the solo experience by allowing you a second chance during a night boss. Which is fantastic. I love that, and I can't wait to see where they go next in the updates with this. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Elden Ring Nightreign? I think it's a good experience with friends, or even with random people, because I've tried with random people, and it's still super fun for what you're getting into. You know what I mean? But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this game in the comments, because it's an interesting experience for people who played Elden Ring and were very used to that sort of play style, and now this is taken that and sort of put it on its head a little bit, so it feels new, but also familiar at the same time. It's interesting. It's an interesting experience, but I think for what it is, I feel like they did good. If they keep fixing it, you know. But anyway, that's just me. But if you like this video, subscribe, like, comment down below. We'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.